Hello and welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith and today we're going to be unboxing Clank, a game by Renegade Game Studios, a game by Paul Dennen. This game has a seal of excellence from the Dice Tower on it, but not only just the Dice Tower endorsing it, but people and the actual players themselves who played the game have endorsed it and given it a very, very high rating. It's a very, very fun game, and one of the reasons why I'm featuring it on my channel is mainly because it can be played solo. Not only solo, but it'll give you a feel for how the game could be played against your opponents or against friends or family and that kind of thing. So if we play through this together in a solo kind of way, I'll be able to show to you potentially whether this is something you want to add to your collection, and I'll leave that with you. So we're going to go ahead right away and jump into the unboxing because I do not want to delay any further. I'm sure you guys are very interested to see what's inside the box. I do apologize for the glare on it because the wrap is still on it, plastic wrap, so things are kind of reflecting off the roof and whatnot. But on the very back of this, it does say Clank Deck Building Adventure. Burgle your way to victory in Clank, the deck building adventure game. Sneak into the Dragon Keep to steal precious artifacts. Delve deeper to find more valuable loot. Expand your deck and watch your abilities grow. And one false step and Clank, careless noise draws the dragon's attention, and each artifact stolen increases its rage. To enjoy your plunder, you must escape the depths alive. So essentially, it's kind of a risk-reward type game where you're trying to push your luck, essentially, and get down deeper into the dungeon to find greater rewards at the risk of potentially angering a dragon who likely impacts all of the players at the same time. So this is going to be really fun to play, and I can see how this could be soloed, but I imagine even with more people at the table, it'd be even more fun. So I'll be playing this through a solo playthrough with you guys, which will be fun because we can kind of work our way through it ourselves. That'll be in the future, but for now, let's just unbox it and see what we got. So I'm going to grab myself a knife here. We're going to jump right into it. I'm really excited to kind of see what's inside this thing. Knowing that it's kind of a deck building game makes me kind of excited because I didn't really expect that from some type of adventure game where you're kind of just going down into a cavern, essentially finding treasure and trying to get out before a dragon chases you down. I'm really interested to see how the mechanics are going to work in terms of the deck building, of how that actually will help you or aid you to win the game. I don't really know much about it in terms of the gameplay itself, but I think it's going to be really, really cool. Deck building games, I have a few myself, like Arkham Horror the card game and Lord of the Rings the card game, so I'm familiar with them, but this should be something a little bit different than that. So there is an expansion for the game out. I believe it's called Crystal Caverns. I could be wrong on that, but here's the box art, just in case you're curious as to what it looks like. Sorry for the little reflection there of the glare, but I'll try to avoid that as best as possible. Again, there's the dragon, not very happy as the heroes try to escape with all the loot in hand. So it's very, very cool looking. I haven't seen it inside the box before, but definitely colorful. Has a lot of color there. The red's really popping. Of course, you've got yourself an advertisement sheet from Renegade Games, as they have many games, including games like Lanterns, Flatline, Lotus, a bunch of well-known games actually they've done that are very popular. So, and this definitely falls into that same popularity. So Clank, deck building adventure game. Cool thing about this I'm already noticing is, especially after opening Sword and Sorcery, really, this rulebook looks amazing because I think it's only like 8 or 10 pages, which is incredible. I'm sorry if I'm doing a bad job of showing you guys this, but essentially gives you the component layout of what's included in the box, so you can see that there. And here's your table or setup instructions. So we'll be going through A through to, I guess, all the way. I guess to N is where it ends. So we'll be doing that in a solo setup video. But you'll notice here you've got kind of some text to start, put some basic skills, swords and boots, and then it moves into kind of step 1. And I think these are in steps. Yeah, so it's kind of showing you how to go about the game. But the really nice thing is I think this is literally 8 pages worth. So that's amazing. I should be able to tackle this fairly quickly, and we should be able to have some fun without really taking too much time to figure this one out, which is a huge plus because I have too many games that are way too complex. So you get yourself, of course, the board itself, which unfolds, and I'll do that now, although I'll probably do a poor job of showing you just everything on camera. Oh, actually, no, it's pretty good. It's a square. So it lands, it should land in a shot, I hope, mainly. Of course, I'm not laying this on the table, so bear that in mind. It's going to be very kind of bouncy and stuff like that. But essentially, you've got what looks to be a castle up top, where you can again trudge around into the, it looks like the cells and the dungeon of the castle, as well as some caverns. There's some treasure rooms, and as you go further, of course, the rewards increase. The game is based in using cubes, so for people that are familiar with using, I believe, wooden cubes, they're used along the base of this. You can see there's a track here that goes along, and I'm not too familiar, so I'm not going to go into the rules and stuff like that yet, but I will be in another video. But just so you guys are aware, it looks like there's a game track going along the bottom, and of course the idea is you're pushing your luck as you go further to gather more treasure. So that's one side. I wonder if there's a double. Oh, there is. That's cool. So there is two sides to this. That's nice. So I'm assuming not exactly the same layout. This looks more like a daytime board, whereas the other one, if I flip this back over, I think was, yeah, kind of like a dusk or dawn type setup. So that's cool. I like it when they make use of both sides, especially in designer board games. That's a huge thing. Whereas in typical, games, you only get one side when you're buying the really cheap stuff. But this is, this looks like it's very well produced. So we've got ourselves some coins, of course. I may or may not use some tokens or some plastic gems myself to replace the coins, but you've got yourself kind of the items that you're going after. Looks like they're point values. You've got some jars of health and stuff like that. Apparently gold bananas are really, really popular this year. You've got yourself some iron kind of armor. I got shields and gauntlets and all kinds of good stuff. Looks like some cards you pick up, backpack tokens and keys, health and all that good stuff. So we'll go through those when we actually play the game. Looks like it's expandable, so that's cool. I'm liking this already. Already an insert. I love that. Please keep doing that. There's not enough games out there that do a good job with inserts. Typically, you want to throw them out the second you look at them. This looks like a good one. Not only does it not only cover your cards that comes in the base game, but I know there's an expansion release, and I'm probably butchered which expansion name that is, but I believe it's some type of water cavern crystal type setup. And it looks like it's got enough room that you could merge those into the base box, and that's a plus. So, of course, with this game, like I mentioned, many wooden cubes. I'm not going to take them out of the bag because they're technically just what you'd expect, although it looks like there's a couple meeples in there. Probably every player, I'm assuming, gets that starting meeple for themselves, along with a handful of cubes. Some probably relate to the dragon as well. The idea being, I think you, as you progress to the dungeon, you're dropping wooden cubes into this bag. And I think as you do things, as you clank, as you make noise, you're adding to this bag. And essentially at some point someone could pull out, I think, a token that essentially has the dragon getting angrier and possibly waking up. So it'll be really cool to see how that mechanic works exactly when we do the playthrough. I'm not going to try to give you too much details because I only know it from just hearing about it. But that's a really nice dice bag. So it's made of that's very nice quality and stuff. Nice and big, you can get your hand in it fully. Nice stitching on the front. That's not cheap or anything like that. I like that. That's huge. It looks like you obviously got the dragon token itself. Of course, to make the game even more interesting, because I like doing stuff like that, I could just go ahead and I'd probably grab a dragon from like Arcadia Quest or something and put it on the board just to add a little bit extra spice. And of course the cards, sorry. We didn't go over any of the cards. I'm not too familiar with the cards themselves and what they do or don't do, but there's no harm in opening them up and taking a look to see. So let's do that. So here we go. We'll crack these guys open and just see what types of cards you get in the game. So you've got Explore cards. Okay, so, and again, remember it's a deck builder, so there's going to be repetition in terms of the cards because as you're building your deck, you're going to be, adding to it and making it better and better. So you got Secret Tomes. Looks like you've got a lot of Secret Tomes. I got Burgle, which I found to be a really funny sounding word. You could yourself stumble, so you can see there +1 clank. So as you're going through, you're making mistakes, you're making noise, or sidestep, scramble. So I'm assuming what ends up happening is you're probably building your deck. Certain things can appear like this where you stumble, but maybe you can potentially mitigate them with your deck to, sidestep or, to avoid essentially having one of those bad things that adds a +1 clank to the bag from happening, which makes sense. So this is a lot of the same type of card. This is a Goblin Monster. Again, the artwork's really nice too, just to make that mention. It's very clear, pops, really nice. The Bandit Queen. Again, very, very nice looking. This is only just one of the 3 decks that are in the game here. So there's probably even better stuff as we go further. Yep, this looks interesting. So this is going to kind of focus on the... I wonder if this one focuses on the... Oh, it focuses on the monsters that you run into in the dungeon. So that's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. So I've been using a knife the whole time, but you know, thankfully you don't have to. They have put cut tabs into it so you can do it the more humane way instead of using a big knife. So you got yourself an animated door. Let's see if we can get there we go, get the focus back. So cave trolls, right? Again, I'm not too familiar with the mechanics, so I'm not going to focus too much on how and what is going on here. I really just want to show you guys the types of things you get in the box, the types of things that we will see when we do the playthrough, which should be a lot of fun. We got the watchers. So it looks like it's got a good, oh, it's got some devices in there. That's interesting. So you got some things you can use, I guess. Teleports, vaults. Oh, companions. You got some allies, essentially, coming along for the ride with you. Quite a few of them. Not a lot of duplicates in that. There are some, but certainly not as many as the other cards we pulled. These are very, very unique. So it looks like you're getting many, many different types of characters here. That's really cool. Brilliant. Was it draw 3 cards? Okay, interesting. So seems to be this deck here seems to be a lot less repetitive than the other one. I'm guessing, and it's very, very possible because that I'll be wrong, but I'm guessing that your base deck potentially comprises of these basic actions like explore and stumble and sidestep and all that silliness. And as you go through the game, you're probably adding these other 2 decks in, which are more powerful and more advanced cards. You're also probably encountering these cards as you go through the caverns and stuff like this, and try not to clank your way into making a dragon want to eat you alive. So here's one swagger, because it's nothing like having a comb when you're running from a dragon. Searching, sleights of hand, tattle, underline. So these look like kind of action cards. They call them acquire. Oh, so these are items, but when you go back to what we were just in, I don't think it tells you what. So I'm assuming the banners, maybe the color will make that clearer later as to what's what, but obviously these are items. Hey, if we'll have a flying carpet is nice. Hopefully that gets you out quick. Again, I like the artwork. I actually don't think this is the first Renegade game I think I have, which is kind of sad because they have a ton, and to be totally honest, they have a lot of great games. You know, it's really weird that I hadn't actually had one of their games added to my collection. One thing I will say though is I've played many Renegade games, but I have never bought one for myself. So this is the first one I'm adding to my collection, and again, it's just based on the insane amount of recommendations that I heard from how good this game is, and plus the fact that I can play it solo if I feel like it. But again, the game probably shines even more so with other players because you're really going after it. But it'll be interesting to see how this kind of unfolds. So that's essentially Clank. That is what you get in the base game. There is an expansion. It's obviously at a lower price point than this actual box here. And I'll probably, because I've bought the base game, somewhere along the line here will likely, when I become more familiar with this game and I've seen what I want to see, I'll grab the expansion, we'll do an unboxing for that, and we'll also add that in maybe and do a playthrough. So again, this one's a little bit lower of a priority because, as I mentioned in my Too Many Bones video, which recently wrapped up that playthrough, I do have Gloom of Kilforth is the next one in the queue, and then after that, Sword of Sorcery will be kind of in parallel, but it's a little bit more involved, so I'll be using a lot more, I'll be getting deeper into the rules on that one, but Clank will be in the queue as well because I may be able to play this one at a quicker pace, and obviously the rule book that you guys noticed here is quite a bit smaller, and that's great. That's great news. I could use a game that is not 30 to 50 pages of rules. That's a nice sign. It's nice to open up a box and see that every once in a while. So even though I love complex games. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the unboxing. We will get to a playthrough in the future. And as always, keep on rolling solo.